और हमें कुछ अपना ज्ञान दे।
ओम भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि यो नः प्रचोदयात्. O God, giver of life, remover of pains and sorrows, bestower of happiness, creator of universe, thou art most luminous, pure and adorable, we meditate on thee. Please inspire and guide our intellect in the right direction. हे परमपिता परमात्मा, हम अपने शक्ति से आपके सहारा के साथ यहाँ पे उपस्थित हुए हैं. जितने धर्म प्रेमियों, मामा श्री विजय जी, आप लोगों ने मुझे यहाँ पर निमंत्रण दिया, आने के लिए बहुत धन्यवाद. मुझे यहाँ बुलाने के लिए आप लोगों को बहुत धन्यवाद. और परमपिता परमात्मा का यह आशीर्वाद है कि मैं यहाँ पर आप लोगों के सामने हूँ. मेरा कोशिश है कि जो आज की शाम है इसको मैं थोड़ी दूसरी ढंग से, आज की जो कार्य है, धर्म प्रचार है, उसको एक नया रास्ता दे रहा हूँ. सिडनी में कर रहा हूँ. अभी नवरात्रि चल रहा था तो मैं 9 दिन का लास्ट ईयर भी प्रोग्राम किया था. उसमें भी सिग्निफिकेंस जो है, क्यों नवरात्रि मनाया जाता है, क्यों कृष्ण जन्माष्टमी मनाया जाता है, क्यों राम की जन्म दिवस मनाया जाता है, क्यों हम होली उत्सव मनाते हैं, क्यों हम दिवाली करते हैं, उसको मैं ऐसे रूप में पेश करता हूँ कि आपकी जो निजी जिंदगी है, जो हमारी एवरीडे लिविंग है, उस पर क्या और कैसे असर पड़ता है. सेलिब्रेशन इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. उत्सव का मतलब है सेलिब्रेशन, ठीक है. सो हिंदूज वर वेरी इंटेलिजेंट पीपल. दे मेड एवरी मंथ अ फेस्टिविटी, एंड फेस्टिविटी बेसिकली raises your energy, self, dressing same way, meeting people, but there is deeper meaning to it in terms of your health, your mind status, and your spiritual growth. So what I'm doing is I'm actually trying to English, ठीक है, इंग्लिश में बात करते हैं. सब इंग्लिश इजी पड़ेगा बच्चों के लिए, स्पेशली यंग पीपल के लिए. सो आई माइट स्पीक इन इंग्लिश सो दैट यू ऑल कैन अंडरस्टैंड क्लियरली. सो माय पॉइंट इज दैट आई एम ट्राइंग टू पुट spirituality, and especially the ancient Hindu scripture knowledge, into a science-based communicative platform, so that you can understand every single day that when we do something like a mantra jap, for example Gayatri mantra, I just said Gayatri mantra, we asking or requesting God to give me the intellect so that I can share with you whatever knowledge I have. And how does it affect our mind? So if you, I just made few slides so that you can understand what I'm trying to do within an hour. So first 10 minutes probably, I will go through Swami Dayananda Saraswati's life. I think it's very important because this is the 200th year Jayanti. Do you all know that this is the 200th year of Swami Dayananda, Maharishi Swami Dayananda? So I think at least for this year, every session, every prayer that you all do, include his name. Because as within few minutes, I'll give you the impact that this man had on Hindu society, or actually completely saving Hindu Dharma in India. If not for him, probably it would have been very difficult to actually be what India in terms of Hinduism today is. Secondly, my talk is based on Isha Upanishad, which is the 40th chapter of Yajurveda. In that, what I have done is, looking at the mantras, I have made a simple topic of how to reignite your inner pharmacy. So that will come a bit later. Let me first go through Swami Dayananda's life. So as you have heard just, Mama Shri has introduced me. He said, oh, I've written a book on Swami Dayananda's life. And that took me about 8 years to write, a lot of research. Swami Dayananda was one person who did not want his life history or autobiography written when he was alive. He was very scared of people making him into a god. So the rule was basically not to write anything about him, when he was alive. But there was record, I found it, and I've actually translated into simple English so that you all and your children can read about it. So that was one of the purpose, because it just happens that I was able to actually get it printed this year. It wasn't a plan or anything. As I said, it took more than 7 years, so it was not a plan. So, you know, Mool Shankar was his name. Most of us have heard about his name. And how did he become Maharishi Swami Dayanand Saraswati? For me, after my research, I haven't found anybody more in terms of contributing to Hindus or India as a civilization after Dwapar Yuga, after Shri Krishna, as important as Maharishi Swami Dayanand. This is my research, that I found that there is no other man. There's so many people who have contributed towards what India is today now, but there is no one who is actually, for me, in terms of totality, like a lot of spiritual people, masters have been there. Chinmaya Mission, ISKCON Mission, all others, they are spiritual masters in their own fields. But someone who actually not only was a spiritual enlighter, but who was a political mover, the social reformer, bringing back the Vedas, our references on which Hinduism is based. There is nobody else as big as this man. And I think he deserves credit. And I think Arya Samaj, because it's the only movement behind his name which has actually kept, in a small form, his teachings alive. I think the time has come that he should get more recognition, and hopefully people will learn a bit more about his life now. When I started doing the research, it was basically where I found most of the information was in the collections of Rabindranath Tagore's father's home in Calcutta. His father's name was Devendra Nath Tagore. Most of the information that Swami Dayanand had written or dictated to people who had written were kept at his place. So when you read the book, it is actually from the information that is there. In summary, what is the big things that Maharishi Swami Dayanand actually espoused? Manur-bhava, and this is very universal principles. That's why it's not against any religion, it's not against any society or any race or anything. Manur-bhava, be a noble human. Vasudev Kutumbakam, that whole universe is one family. Trivanto Vishwam Aryam, make the whole universe a brotherhood. So very universal principles. It's not about one single religion or one set of values that he believed in. And his goal, as I said, when he became a politician, or he was not a politician himself, but a spiritual master advising the freedom movement of India. So he was one of the first ones, 1869. Swaraj, Swadharam, Swabhasha, Swadeshi was his goal. So you become look after your own country, look after your own. He was a Gujarati, but he espoused a common language. At that time, he thought Hindi was probably the most common uniting language. So he sacrificed Gujarati language so that India could become one single voice, because it was need of that time. Probably not now, but Sanskrit was too difficult because not practical. Swadharam, Hindu dharam should be what India should be. Swadeshi. Yeah, so after that, Gandhi and other people actually tried to carry on his good work. Okay, so my interest of knowing Maharishi Swami Dayanand was based on a little bit I knew, yeah, from Arya Samaj, which is so he got really jolted when he went to Shivratri and couldn't understand what was going on, who was the real Shiva. That was my knowledge. And then I knew about Shri Maharishi Swami Brijananji. And then I heard Swami Arya Samaj. It was formed. So that's most of us that have heard. I'll give you in quick 5 minutes so much more about him. So the whole story starts 12th February 1884. So that's why it's 200th year this year. So that was when he was born. In first year, he almost died. He's from a rich Brahmin family, and the caretaker wanted to actually steal stuff from what he was wearing, gold and stuff. He was almost killed then, but survived. At 4 years, he started learning religious texts. His parents, his family were very spiritual, but obviously believed in Vedas and all Hindu texts they had. By 8 years, Yaj Pavitra happened. At 14 years is the time when he had the experience of finding or wanting who real Shiva is. 16 years, his sister died. 19 years, his closest uncle passed away. And they are the two biggest incidents that actually pushed him into calling for or asking God or universe, why is there death? That was his call. I want to know, who am I? Why am I born in this universe, and what is the galaxies or what is the universe there? That were the questions. Obviously, once the parents thought that this guy was going to be lost, they wanted to get him married. And he ran away from home in 1845. So from 1845 to 1816, we don't know about his life. So what my research is, or in the book, is between his 21st year of life, so when he was 21 years of old, until he met Swami Birijananda, what he did. Because that is where the most of his learnings are. So he meets Swami Yogananda, and then Swami Purnanand, and Swami Jwala Prasad Puri. They are the ones who actually teach him yogi knowledge. He learns Vedas, he reads Vakran, he goes to Tibet, he goes to all over India. A lot of incidents of how he was saved. 16, 17 times people tried to kill him because he was giving rise to Hinduism, to calling people to rise up against independence and things. So if you read the book, it's all in there. 1860, when he meets Swami Birijananda, then he learns the Vedas. So the whole Vedas were deliberately tainted not only by Mughals, by missionaries from England's rule of India. They purposely, actually, a lot of Puranas are purposely distorted. We don't know. We read and we think that's truth. No. Max Muller and them even were given money to distort our books so that we become ashamed of what our tradition is. It was a purposeful exercise. So Swami Dayanand actually tried to correct it. And you know about women's, child, marriage, and all the rest you know. Other things you know very well, that he is the one who tried to bring back Hindus into who had converted what was called as the Ghar Wapsi movement. Yeah, so he's the one who started it, and so forth. So many things. 1875, he established Arya Samaj in the attempt to actually somehow Birijananda's request to him after he learned the Vedas was to go and actually get Hindus enlightened and understand their civilization. So that's why he formed in 1875. Arya Samaj. So I think we have to understand the bigger goals of what he tried to do. He wrote more than 60 books, read more than 3,000 books, and then what he achieved in 59 years of life is beyond actually really any understanding. So for me personally, I didn't know what this man did, because we believe that at a human level, nobody is an avatar, and that's truth. And why and how this man from Mool Shankar became Maharishi Swami Dayanand. The book has it in entirety. The exercises he did, what did he study, what actually changed him from a simple small boy into someone now. India is growing actually according to the template of Maharishi Swami Dayanand. What Modi is doing to India to bring the belief, the religion, the Swadeshi part of it, independence and becoming a world leader is actually a template if you understand what Maharishi Swami Dayanand so many years ago tried to do when there was no rights really for women at that time anywhere in the world. Nobody knew about climate change. He was talking about looking after soil. All these things he was doing that time, Gaurakshak movement, etc. So that's a brief introduction of Maharishi Swami Dayanand for you, so that you understand the relevance of what we do. And probably because it's the 200th year, I think it's important And a simple book like that will help your children a lot to understand in what he achieved in 59 years of life. When he dies, that was the 17th time somebody tried to kill him. And why and how did he survive 16 times? And what actually made him get so qualified at that time, 1800s? There were two things that I found from him. One was he believed in truth and only truth. And there was no partial truth or half truth. That was his belief. And that came from Vedas. He was so strongly believing in Vedas. And the second part of how he could live that life, imagine 160 years ago. At the moment now with the social media and everything, living a life is still very hard in India and other places, Middle East for example. How did this man rise at that time when there was no actually exposure or media or anything against the tyrants of 500 years of Mughals and the 200 years of English? What did he do? What was in him? How did he survive so many death attempts? It was because one, the truth. Two, he was a yogi. And this is one thing I found we are missing. So the next part of the talk is based on now trying to actually, as part of Ved Prachar, I have put it into, as I said, the Isha Upanishad, or the chapter 40th of Yajurveda, and there are 18 mantras. I have selected 5 mantras only. And in summary, the most important mantra to me is Om Asmin Sarvani Bhutani Atmin yu Atma yu Amritam Anushpate Ati Anushpate. That mantra is basically a summary of almost the chapters of Isha Upanishad. And I'll use that mantra to now talk about what is inside us, what made Swami Dayanand so strong, what we are missing now in our life, and how we can apply these mantras in our life, and how you can look after your body, which, as I wrote here, medicine is advancing rapidly and very well, but why is health deteriorating? This is the most advanced stage ever humanity lived in terms of engineering, art, science. But at the same time, our health is rapidly being destroyed. There's something very big mismatch. So a doctor, by definition, is called dosia. Dosia means to advise. But in about 60, 80 years ago, by accident, cortisone was discovered as an injection, and it was given to a woman with a joint pain, and she stood up and started walking. It's a miracle, for that time. And then from there on, the whole medicine became a prescription from what it was supposed to be to advise people to live a healthy life. It became something that you give as a tablet form. And that's what we are doing, and more we are doing only that part. The next part of the whole message of the Vedic mantras is that you understand what is IQ, but there's something called EQ, and there's another thing called SQ. So intelligence quotient, or emotional quotient, and spiritual quotient. Intelligence IQ is, so if you look at the brain, there are three nerve cells or neurons. When they link from A to B to C, and then C comes back to A, the reaction time that is there determines your IQ. EQ is when your A goes to B as well as A goes to C. So you have increased functioning power at your brain level. SQ, which is spiritual quotient, is A goes to B at the same time, B goes to A, and then B goes to C, B goes to D, and A goes to D. So the level of your understanding magnifies. So makes sense? So IQ is only measure of a very little component of our self. So these are the mantras. Actually, I was saying Om Asmin Sarvani Bhutani Atminu, Anushpata, Ati Anushpate. So they are mantras. I'm not going to spend too much time because otherwise, if I start giving the definitions of each of the Sanskrit words, it will take too much time. So what I have done, as I said, I have converted this into a realistic living method of what the application of these mantras are. Talent is not enough. You need discipline in life, yeah? You need dedication, you need character. So the problem of us at a very physical body level is that we might have the knowledge, understanding from Dr. Google, but what you are doing is very important. What is the biggest enemy of our sleep these days? Any kid? Biggest enemy?
Stress.
Netflix, yeah? Your phone. Biggest enemy. You can't sleep. And blue light is not good. Okay, understand. At least 1 hour before you sleep, you should not look at TV or phone or anything. At least, okay? What is the biggest competitor for water? My bhai, Surya. Coca-Cola. Yes? All the fizzy drinks. Yes? What is the biggest distractor of natural environment? It's the Westfield shopping market. Every weekend. So the what I'm trying to say is what are simple, what is easily available is being replaced by something which you pay money and happily pay money, but it makes you a fake. And that is the problem. We'll go deep in later. There's another mantra within the Ved which says, in the end, just read here, a holistic approach to Vrat, that mat om agne vrat, te vratam, cheryashyam, keep going there. 1. Purity of food and drink, sattvic ahar. 2. Purity of thoughts, sattvic vichar. 3. Purity in conduct, sattvic vyavhar. Make sense? So when most of our teachers, religious pandits, our swamis and gurus are teaching us, they spend too much time on spiritual achievement, yeah? And that is their role. But many of last 30 years, I have been through the same journey. And what I found was that, yeah, I too want to find samadhi, transcendence or moksha. The problem is, it's not that easy to achieve that. And we have to be realistic about it. Many pandits you've seen, many of us who have spent many years of our life trying to achieve that, it's not coming. And I'll help you understand and help you actually guide, because that is my part of my life that has helped me not only grow in material sense, making money, wealth, but with all other success that I've achieved. I've applied these mantras in a realistic way in my life, and I'm just sharing that knowledge, partly through the book. Secondly, now I'm talking about these things to different audience in trying to help. The brain has got 3 parts. So the base of the brain is called brainstem, and it is also called reptilian mind, like a reptile mind. Then in the middle part, it's called limbic brain or emotional mind. And the third, on the top of the head, is called neocortex or prefrontal cortex. I'm introducing some of the terms. I'm not doing neurology class here for you, but I want you to understand, because we are of civilization and religion which has got everything in the Vedas, but it's in Sanskrit. And at most somebody tells in Hindi, it's not hitting. I'm giving you the language, it's being actually probably easier to understand. So now there, at the base of the brain is your heart rate, your breath rate. That's how I'm talking, that's how you're listening. At the limbic level, emotional mind is our reactions. So every day when we listen to someone and react, it comes from the limbic brain system. The difference between human beings and animals is only this part here. So divinity part can happen 84 लाख योनि में बोलते हैं ना कि मनुष्य ही एक स्पीसीज है जिसमें आपको मोक्ष प्राप्त हो सकती है, बताया जाए ना, पंडित बोलेगा सभी जगह पर. Why? Because human brain is the only part that can actually have this connection to divinity.
So yatha pinde tatha brahmande tatha pinde means what we are reflection of the Creator, and the Creator is in us, and which is the 5 components. Space, ether, water, the 5 and that gets expressed through our 5 tanmatras, then 5 indriyas. Yeah, so that happens through this part. And why should you know all this is because people feel useless and helpless and get depressed and anxiety because they don't actually understand truly that they are functioning from the limbic mind or your emotional self. So you are always angry, jealous, you are getting into this rhythm of saying things without realizing, because you don't know there is a master sitting on top of it. How do you actually tap into neocortex? There are many different methods. One of the most, and this is scientifically now proven, and you can Google Dr. Shweta at Harvard, at Cambridge, at Oxford. There are lots of research now done. I have been personally involved in doing research in taking bloods of people, say for example, who listen to Vedic chant mantras for a while, Gayatri mantra for 10 minutes, versus someone who is actually listening to rock music or talking ill about people. You compare both of them, take the blood, there are about 14,000 chemical mediators that we can measure. The person who is doing the chanting or talking good, like who has humility, humbleness, softness, compassion, they have very good chemical mediators in the body, including things that make your telomeres, which gives you increased longevity or increased living capability. As opposed to someone who is listening to rock music, somebody who is talking ill about people, jealousy, hatred, anger, they magnify things which are very negative for your heart, like cortisols and other things. So these are easily now available on PubMed and other medical actually. Obviously, the articles are very sort of small in number at the moment. That's why it's not accepted across the world. People are just learning about it. So if you research on PubMed statins, like anti-cholesterol drugs, there are 30,000 articles. But if you sort of Google and try to find out how many articles are on good brain health, meditation or something, there'll be about 3,000. So that is the problem. Not that something is wrong about what we are talking, but the evidence in terms of literature is less in number. But not to say that it doesn't exist doesn't mean that it's not there. So the thing is, what happens when you chant Vedic mantras? If you go through Gayatri mantra, say, for every morning you do Gayatri mantras, what happens, this part of the brain is stimulated. And the research that have been done and the articles that are published, they don't actually even specify that you have to know the meanings even. Imagine if you know the meaning of Gayatri Mantra, oh God, give of life, remove of pain, sorrows, bestow of happiness, creator of universe, thou art most luminous, pure and adorable, we meditate on thee, please inspire, guide our intellect. If you know the meaning, it magnifies. But if you don't know the meaning, even if you still chant, it has a huge amount of positive impact on your rational brain, so that it starts helping you sort yourself out from the everyday living that we are living through, which is expressed in what is called brain waves. So when there's a child in mom's womb from 3 months, from the 3rd month or trimester to 2 years, a child is in what's called delta wave. And delta wave are very slow waves, like 4 to 5 oscillations per minute. That is hypnotic, that is very conducive to absorbing knowledge. At 2 years, 2 things happen. So before 2 years, you'll see parents, they don't understand why child is smiling, child is talking, they're interacting with something somewhere they don't know because they don't talk. And our parent is fascinated like all of us. We didn't know. But at 2 years, the anterior fontanelle, the top of the head closes, this thing. The top of the head closes, the child starts speaking. Once the child starts speaking, the connection from the top of the head, the fontanelle, which is your antenna, to the universe closes. Now the game starts happening. What is called, I'll talk about Maya tomorrow, yeah? Illusion, how to change reality. I'll talk deeply about that. But the thing, what happens is, then a child, brain waves from 2 years onwards starts increasing. And all the parents who are here, be very careful. Brain is like a sponge when the brain waves are very slow, and that's why Gurukul system used to be our way of learning traditionally in Indian culture, because if you put a child in a proper place of learning, and whatever you give to a child, the child will just absorb. It's like a sponge, because the brain waves are so low. So it goes 4 to 8, then about 8 years, it starts going 8 to 13, and when we pass teenagers into adulthood, it becomes very fast. It's called beta wave. So when we sit, when we wake up, when we see the blue light in the morning, it induces beta waves in us, which is a fast acting wave, so that you start thinking. And a monk mind is basically your beta wave. So you get about 60,000 thoughts a day. That's why you get exhausted. So the brain, looking after the brain is very important. And as a child, then like little girl is walking, she's just experimenting. She's getting exposed to things. So we might not understand, but she's absorbing everything they learn. And this thing continues until 25 years of our life, maximum 27. After 27, and when the brain waves or your fontanelle is closing this part, something else develops which is called ego, ahankar. Ahankar comes in us. Ego, self-identification is very important, because you get your name and you become a person. And that carries on until you become a graduate and you start working. All of us have gone through it. And all of us then suddenly realize when you're coming closer towards 30, then you are getting confused. What is life? Is this all I work for? Because the ego now has reached its maximum platform and there is no more learning. It tries to actually take into another direction. Basically, your inner self, the true self, is asking, there is more in life, but when you were young, you were not exposed to. So any religious institution, like Arya Samajis and anybody else, Gita, Ramayana Mandali, church or anywhere, when you expose a child to more than just knowledge to get money, home and shelter, basic from beyond, to understand who you are, it's very important for a child when they become 27 years old, when they're growing, because there's a need now for that young person to find something else in life. If they don't find, they will either go to pub, they'll join a gang, and worse is some drugs. Because there's a need, there's a brain's need here to actually realign yourself. So learning something early in your life is very important. So we were talking about why this part of the brain is very important. And when you recite, as I said, Gayatri Mantra is very important. If you don't know Gayatri Mantra, just do every morning Om. And Om is very simple to say. So A, U, Ma. Use the 3 components of it. A pushes your Muladhara chakra, the storage, the creative power. U part is within the heart, and the when you say, it's actually your Sahasrara chakra, the any chakra that meets with the universe. So you need, if you practice that, you start developing this. This is scientifically shown. I don't have time to show all the pictures and articles that have now confirmed what happens to this part of your brain. This part of the brain, when it's functioning, then your left and right side of the brain grows. And as I said, A to B, B to C, C to D, every connection, or in terms of what's called SQ, your spiritual quotient, makes you intelligent. Not only in terms of the work that you are trying to do, the relationships within the families, the community, and other things in terms of material success. Not thinking of what I'm saying is just doing what is called Newtonian or material way of living. It also will bring success, but it starts becoming restrictive around 27 years of age. There, after, you have to really put too much energy. So the problem is, every new year comes, we make a resolution. We'll do weight loss or something, right? We'll stop this bad behavior. And by March, you have forgotten about your gym membership or everything. Everything goes. It's not that your intention is not there. It is there, but because after 25, 27 years of your life, to change your behavior is very difficult. Not that you can't do it, but it's much more difficult. So that's why I try and talk to the younger people. I want them to learn something more than what they are doing in terms of making money for house, shelter and everything. The hard way they are doing, I can help them make it an easier way, that part of your life. Plus I can help you get emotional health better. And eventually what all religious institutions are trying to do is get you closer to God. So first you have to look after your brain, your body as a physical organ. Because your atma or the soul or the driver of this sits in this body. It's like having a car and you never service it. How long can you drive that car? The driver one day has to leave because it's too dangerous. So that's why atma leaves the body. Sometimes it's 30 years or sometimes 50 years. It's not your, what they call, people say naseeb hai, takdeer hai. No, it's not that. What you've done to your body, what you ate, drank in your life, and what your behavior was will actually decide your death. Because the atma will then decide to live because you haven't looked after the body. So they are very important. Physical part is very important. So make sure we accept that why we are having difficulty in terms of actually acquiring spiritual enlightenment is because we don't actually think about our body. It's very important to think about your body, then your mind. Because mind is the master, yeah? A lot of doctors actually just give sugar tablets, placebo tablets to patients who are really dependent on getting some kind of tablet because they won't go home. And the tablet is only sugar tablet and it is like a medicine. It works for them. I don't have time to give you experiments, but to show you, you can do simple things, how mind affects our behavior. So because you believed in it, because your mind started firing through your neocortex and other parts of the brain, your disease is healing because of your thought. So your mind is the master controller. You can either take it in a good way or you can take it in a negative way. If you every day complain about someone causing pain in your life is this because of your neighbor, your cousin or that, the universe will give more of that. Because the brain is asking for it. But if you were every morning saying, thank you God, you've given me a good life, my parents are helpful, I have good children, the universe will give you more of that because the brain is just an intermediary to that. So your behavior, your thought process is, and I'm scientifically speaking, I'm not speaking in a religious sense. This is how the brain works. And this is the basis of it because we've got this extra component here which actually helps you rationalize. And when we do blood tests and other markers for body, and like the experiment I said about the water, yeah? When you compare water, saying good things, it applies to your home. If you take a bit of rice, put it on the table as a mother who is observant, who cooks food nicely, says good things about the rice, and you put it outside and compare with a few grains of rice and say bad things about it and leave it, you can experiment at home. That will deteriorate very rapidly. Where you say good things, it's healthy. So that is why it's so important, your thought, and then the thought comes as an electrical impulse in what you are doing, not in a physical sense, the environment around you, but your cells. So each of the cells get affected, and that's why I talked about in the beginning, I said, what is the biggest competitor of water? Fizzy drinks, say Coca-Cola. The more you bring 12 packs of Coca-Cola, not only you are paying money on sugar and fizzy stuff, making your children's health bad. But the water that the body needs, because it's a conduction system for your thought. Each of your cells has 80% water. Each of your thought, when you pass a message, it goes through the water. If the water is dirty, the messages don't go. Or the messages that they go to your genes are negative. Why do we do asanas and flexibility exercise? If you don't move your back, meruband it's called, the back, your washing, brain cells are washed by water. And you are not drinking water, you are drinking alcohol and you are drinking fizzy drinks. It's not clean. You'll get Alzheimer's disease, you'll get demented after 60 years. But any exposure to bad thing, like food or water, takes about 15 years to damage yourself. So if you talk bad in your life from whenever you're a teenager, now you're getting exposed, you are independent, and you just talk bad every single day for 15 years. It's same as smoking for 15 years. Actually even worse, because your thoughts going to damage even more than the smoke. Understand? You can't separate your thought, and that's why dharam teaching is acha gun karam swabhav. I'm not going to in that language of a pandit today, because I just want to make it so practical that you understand what happens to your brain. Brain is the organ that looks after you, and if we don't, so I say right side of your brain versus left side. How do we develop our right side of the brain? Left side is very good. Western education system is very good, right? Objective, research, science, basis, validation. But what about the right side of your brain? Right side of the brain is the art. It is your Wi-Fi. I've got the best iPhone. What's the point carrying it when you don't know how to use the apps? It's like you got the biggest power of this creation on earth, and you are not using any of our apps. You are driving this body at a very basic level. That is what it is. So your right side of your brain is the Wi-Fi to the universe. It's called intuitive power. So when you do mantra recitation, and why do you do 108 times? Does anybody know why 108 times? 108 is the fraction of the galaxy. So if you look at moon, the distance of the moon to earth, to earth, to the sun, intergalaxies, it's actually 100 times 100. 8 is the number that divides, okay? So distance between earth to sun is about some 350 million miles. From here to moon about 350,000 kilometers, 384,000 kilometers. Then you divide by the diameter of the moon, it gives you 108. That's the same thing with the distance, 153 million kilometers to sun. You divide by the diameter of the sun, it comes to 108. So 108 number is a galactic fraction that you utilize. And which basically means you have to do it for 66 days, scientifically shown. You want to change your behavior, do it for 66 days, it becomes registered in your brain. If you do it for 3 years, it becomes your new personality. So nobody is born, no child is born with a personality. It's actually basically the exposure from second year of our life. I said when this thing closes, child is exposed to whatever prevailing culture at home, the media, and the country they live in. That's their personality at 25 years. But it's not that they are. Actually, who they are is beyond that. Do we ever say, I brain, I leg, I hand? Do we say? No. What do we say? My head, my leg. Who is I? I is beyond me. I is the Atma, the soul that is there. So know that the true person that you are in yourself is beyond what we label ourselves, and we fight for that. That is the ego self. Okay, so why it's important is if you learn how to develop your right side of your brain, when your intuitive power develops, then your left side of the brain combines with the right side brain, whatever objectively you learn in your school, your memory becomes better, your reaction time becomes better, you will progress very fast, you will become someone like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or someone like that. These people tap into this knowledge. They do exercises every single morning. Read about Steve Jobs. Read about them, what they do after 3 o'clock. This is Hindu religion teaching. It's called early morning wake up. When you wake up between 3:30 to early before sunrise and practice anything, that's the best time of your good brain waves. Because adult brain wave, I say, is beta. We need to bring into theta and delta if you want to learn fast as a student. You have brain wave has to come here. That's why we can't learn things after we are 30. It's very difficult because the brain wave is here. So if you do mantra chanting, the science behind is, you do it for a while, you get quickly come down to these waves. This side of the brain matches the right to the left, and entire head becomes very. So these are studies done on monks, people who do yoga and other things. Okay, and their heart and their lung and everything is very healthy. So right side versus the left side. Pituitary gland. What is pituitary gland? Master endocrine gland. Okay, without that you can't live. So we are what's called psycho, neuro, physio, immuno, endocrine. 5 sheets of our body. If you have Annamaya Kosh, Manmaya Kosh, Pranmaya Kosh, Vijnanmaya Kosh, Jnanmaya Kosh, 5 sheets. 5 sheets in our body. The tamasic, rajasic, sattvic state affects our physical body. The other sheets are affecting your brain. So pituitary gland is a reflection of those different sheets. How do you make your pituitary gland work good? Wake up before sunrise. Simple exercise. But if you are sleeping until 3 a.m., you're waking at 12, your pituitary gland is finished. Because we don't make rules, right? Rule is made by nature. The sunrise happens on its own terms, not your term. Gravity exists. You might say, I don't believe in gravity and climb this building. What will happen when you fall? You break your leg. Yeah? The rule exists. So same as your body. We can't change that. We can confuse the court system, okay, by having a good lawyer. But you can't confuse the laws of the nature. So when you don't sleep on time, which is usually around 10, and you can't eat at least 2 hours before sleeping, because your body needs rest to properly sleep. And if Brahmutra, the morning time from 3:30, the best time, the oxygen level is highest outside, and the pituitary gland functions. And pituitary gland is the master gland. It combines with what's called pineal gland, which is your Ajna chakra. So the Trikuti, the forehead, where you put, see, mothers put tikka. It's a reason why they put tikka. When you put tikka, you are igniting your pineal gland, which sits inside it. And pineal gland is the antenna to the universe. It's like a cone shape. It's called pineal. It receives signals. So tikka, when they put, traditionally Hindus, they are inciting, stimulating their pineal gland. And pineal gland produces melatonin. Melatonin converts into endorphin, serotonin, dopamine. All these enzymes which make you feel good, high. Psychedelics, people take LSD and things. You don't need to take mushroom or ayahuasca, all these herbs. People take to make themselves feel better. But if you know how to stimulate, thyroid gland, lot of diseases today, because we are not looking after a pituitary gland. Your thymus sits here. It's the master immune gland. Vijay, you indicate me when the time is close. So thymus, immune system. Your immune system, when it's an army, okay? If your army is not good, you'll get just sick all the time by any type of infection that comes around. We are surrounded by bacteria, viruses, fungi, all these organisms. We need to have good immune system. And how do you develop good immune system? Your bone marrow, which produces cells, needs to actually work well. And how do we do this? How do we breathe? This is very important to know. The problem is we don't know how to breathe. We have CCTVs, we'll close our gates, we'll lock everyone, we are fearful, we don't want world, I'm only my family. at the same time, you don't breathe properly. You are just closing yourself from the nature. True breathing is using your diaphragm, your muscles. Because lung, most of the time, half of the lung is not filled up. And you know lung gives you oxygen. And if you don't have oxygen, you don't get intelligence. Simple? So breathing, learning how to breathe. And that's why if someone or somewhere tomorrow we can do this breathing exercise, I'll teach you how to do proper breathing exercises. Because when you breathe properly, your diaphragm moves, your adrenal gland relaxes. And your adrenal gland is the problem of stress in this world. And everybody is stressed today. When you get stressed, you produce cortisols. Cortisols harden your arteries. And you get blood clots, you get heart attack, you get stroke, you get cancers. One simple thing can help if you know how to properly breathe. It presses on your pancreas, helps you produce insulin. It presses on your kidneys, all the organs. If you know how to breathe, apart from giving you pranic shakti or the oxygen, it is actually balancing your organs which produce the chemicals in your body. It is free. You don't have to go to a doctor. But we are lazy. We are closing ourselves like we are having big gates to close ourselves from the world. We same way do to ourselves. So learn every time what you are doing to yourself. Okay, so it's very important to know. Your heart is the second brain. Okay, we've got about 100 billion neurons. We've got 200 billion neurons in our tummy. More than your brain, there's more nerve cells in your tummy. There are 38 trillion bacteria in our cells. So when we say eat right food, we don't mean we believe in Hinduism or vegetarianism or something. We say look after your bacteria. Because if you don't look after your bacteria, the population of bacteria decides you get diabetes, heart disease, cancers, other diseases like depression, anxiety and others. Because when you breathe properly, your vagus nerve runs from your head to your tummy. It's the longest nerve in your cell. Like when you get stressed, you get very worried, you get cortisol. When you breathe properly, when you meditate, when you rest, when you go to ocean, when you touch the ground, it's called grounding. Put your leg outside someday from your shoe, touch the ground, your body has, each cell has 1 volt. How much electricity we have? Earth is negative. It takes away the negativity of your life. Our forefathers always did it. This is from Vedas, I'm not saying from even medical books. But I'm teaching you because I'm using in my life. So do those simple things, then your heart will connect your brain. It's called heart-brain coherence. Otherwise, we spend our life living what's called third dimension. 99% of people are living only at an ego level. As soon as you start living at your heart, which is by doing these exercises, then you can communicate with the Creator, the God. So those bacteria are important that I said. So what do those bacteria need? Vegetables, fiber, legumes. Our intestine is very long. Any animal which eats meat, their intestine is very small. They have a different bacteria. And our bacteria like yogurt. They like vegetables. They like gobi. They like avocado. They like celery. They like these kind of things. Any food, any vegetables except for tomato, except for carrot and cucumber, all other vegetable needs to be cooked. Don't eat fresh. Any other vegetable because they need to turn into chemical. But fruits need to be eaten whole. Don't make smoothies. Don't make this thing. You are fighting. Salt should not go with milk. A lot of things are made in smoothies. Be careful what you are doing to yourself. You might think you are getting healthy, but the combination is wrong. It's very important. And I talked about the vasovagal nerve. So what in summary I tried to put together in a small time is your pharmacy that exists inside you is basically based on the natural laws of when to sleep, what to eat, awaking, getting exposed to the sun, because that's the energy that you take in. When you are going to sleep, watch the red light. As soon as you see the red light of the evening, you're producing hormones in your body for relaxation. So choice is yours. Learn how to keep your thoughts. If you eat right thing, your thoughts will be better. And as I say, thoughts are good, your health comes. Then you avoid lots of illnesses and you are in control of yourself as well. Because when your heart and brain is coherent and you understand about looking after your brain, your overall health is much better. Okay, so I'll stop here and you can ask me questions. All right? Otherwise it becomes too much one-sided. Yes.
मैं हिंदी में बोलूँगा।
हाँ जी, बोलो।
मैं जो कुछ आप बोल रहे हैं मैं सुन रहा था।
जी।
मेरे दादाजी जो गुजर गए हैं नहीं तो एक बहुत बड़ा से रीडिंग करते थे तो मुझसे अपना नॉलेज शेयर करते थे। उन्होंने दीपक चोपड़ा की कई बुक के उन्होंने मुझसे शेयर करी जो आप वर्णन कर रहे हैं उससे काफी ज्यादा मेल खाता है उनकी बातों से। उनके बोलना क्या था कि हमारे शरीर के अंदर एक फांसी है जी, तो आप उसी दिशा में जा रहे थे। मुझे बहुत फैसिनेटिंग लगा, जो आइडिया मेरे अंदर था और कंक्रीट हो गया।
तो मेरा कोशिश यही है कि जो ज्ञान है सही है, लेकिन उसकी जो डायरेक्शन है और कम्युनिकेशन मेथड है थोड़ा सा उसमें चेंजेस लाना है, क्योंकि जो नई जनरेशन है they accept things only by evidence, by validation। तो मैं केवल एक ही चीज कर रहा हूँ, सब कुछ वेद का है, सब कुछ हमारे धर्म का है। तो आज मैं मंत्र उच्चारण नहीं करा रहा हूँ, लेकिन अपने घर में जरूर कीजिए, ओम गायत्री मंत्र कुछ भी आए आप कहिए, क्योंकि जो मैं समझा रहा हूँ वो अंदर से होगा। लेकिन जब आप देख लोगे कि क्या कर रहा है, स्पेशली कोई डॉक्टर आपको बताएगा, देन यू बिलीव इट मोर, है ना। तो मैं वही कर रहा हूँ। और बोलिए, young girl, you ask a question, because I would like to know from the young kids, because we passed, most of your parents have gone through somehow indirectly, but you are in the danger. You are in a society where it's very hard to find the truth. Okay, so any habit change requires, as I said, 66 days. That's a minimum. When you are already into a method of living, it has taken you about 15 years, yeah? That's how then you start expressing yourself as personality. So your thoughts becomes your habit becomes your personality, your habit becomes your character, and then it becomes your destiny, you know, as our book said. So if you want to change something, see, I'll quickly tell you how the whole thing is creation. Whole universe is created, God has created from nothingness, absolute nothingness, and God gives the energy of the celestial bodies. God has Atma or souls, and then God, the creator, is the super conscious self. It comes from nothingness. When the movement happens in nothingness, you create what's called awareness. So God, awareness in this space. When there's movement in awareness, then you become conscious. The consciousness comes. And when there's movement in consciousness, there is mind. When there's mind and movement in mind through our senses, the 10 senses, the 5 input and 5 output, yeah, then you start moving. So understand, if you want to change something, you have to go reverse. You learn to become still. So the more you learn how to become still or silent and quiet, the more you move from me to I, the person inside. So learn, from me, one thing, learn how to learn quietly sometimes. Because that, what you gain from silence and quietness, comes from the creator. Everything else is your ego still putting, that's why we keep fighting. So to change a behavior of creating a routine, how old are you? 13? 17. So you have just passed through, now you are into the beta waves, which is higher wave. But you are still at that level, you can actually come down. So my advice will be, and this is scientifically proven, chant every morning Om. If you don't know Gayatri Mantra has more benefits. Just Om. If you can do it for 108 times, very good. If you can do it for 5 times, it's all good as well. But if you do it, what it happens is, it actually brings you to lower level. So it will be, so conscious self to subconscious, to superconscious self. So all these states we go when we sleep. But when a sleeping person is like a dead person. Yeah, you don't know what's happening. But when a person is awake, like I'm awake now, but I'm sleeping, you are most powerful. You see, the duality of life is such. It's contradictory. But that's where the power lies. You have to be awake, but at the same time be so still. So water in a lake, when it's still, you can see the base. Yeah. When there's wave or wind, you won't see. Same thing like you. You want to change something, you want to do a method, ask. I as a doctor say, ask God always. But modern ethics say, don't even mention God. But if you want fast progress, you have to include God in your life. Well, you can do other things without God too. There is no need if you really don't want to do it. That's another matter. But my personal experience, if you go to God, it's much more faster. So good habit, sleep on time between 10. Try and learn to wake up on early before sunrise. As soon as you wake up, thank your mother, your father, your grandparents. Thank the sun, the moon. Gratitude is the most powerful emotion in ourselves which produces the best hormones in our body. The worst are fear, anger, jealousy, gossiping. That's why those magazines sell a lot, yeah? All this. Because it's bad, and we live in that kind of world. But you have to make a choice, you have to make it individually. Alright? So simple things of life. And sometimes when you're walking, take your shoes off where there's grass. Put your leg on grass or on seed. Whenever you get opportunity, you are grounding. When you ground, your red blood cells separate in your blood. They get more power to carry oxygen to your brain. Then you get increased intellect. So when we say Gayatri Mantra is a mantra to become intelligent, if you do it properly, it truly does, because your brain waves are changing. Any other question? Yeah.
Talk about the cell.
Cell.
Each cell has got 80% water.
Yeah.
And then I was watching a video and they're saying our Hindu way of making food, it also contains 75% to 80% of water. Because the cell has got 80% water.
Yes.
And the food habit that we have Hinduism
Yes.
that we are following also 80%.
Yes.
And then what they are saying, the Western food like peas,
Dry. Yeah.
It's not good for the microbiome.
Yes.
It kills the microbiome.
Yes. So
Beyond that.
yes, so anything, the good way to test something is for your body or not, leave it on a table. If it doesn't rot in a week, that was never meant for your body. If it lives for 6 months, it is not food, it's chemical. Food turned into chemical. And you warm it and heat it and mix it and do it, whatever you want to do, it's not real. So, that is what it is. Earth is surrounded by 80% water. Earth can't live. So body is surrounded by 80% water. So the whole energy system of our body, which is from your root chakra to the top of the head, when I say when a child is young, it closes at 2 years. The system that is there, it's run by fluid. Yeah? So when we talk of Panch Mahabhut, Akash, Vayu, Agni, Jal, Prithvi, Panch, na? What? Water, Jal, component. We undermine ourselves. We as creators, we are creators. The energy sits in our Muladhara chakra. If you know how to bring it up towards your top of your head or at the heart level, that same water is the medium. So, not against my brother Surya, but all the fizzy drink companies actually are very good in making you not drink water. So drink natural water, coconut water, anything that is natural will help the medium, because electrical impulses, you don't put an electrical wire in water, what will happen? You'll die there, 2 kilometers away. Yeah? The body has got water. When you think something, a thought converts into electrical impulse. It passes message through your water. This is called cerebrospinal fluid. That's why you need to do flexible exercise. Please don't be sitting like a couch person. Because if you sit and watch TV day and night, you're not moving your back. Your back needs to be moved. Then only your brain gets washed. Alzheimer's disease happens because brain is not being washed. So that's why asanas are very important part. Asana, pranayama, then I talk about breathing exercises, yeah? These 2 parts will make you healthy. So yeah, water, in each cell, 80% is called protoplasm. Only 20% is solid. So each single cell of 200 billion cells in our body, everything is the water. Each cell has one voltage in it, and it requires water to pass through. Vijay, any more question now?
अभी भी सवाल करने का समय है, 1-2 मिनट और बहुत अच्छा है कि कुछ लोग सवाल कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि यही है जैसे राघवा जी ने कहा, हमारे महर्षि भी यही करते थे, वार्तालाप। अगर वो करेंगे नहीं तो सीखेंगे नहीं। तो किसी भी तरह के, जैसे राघवा जी कहते हैं यंग चिल्ड्रन, बहुत यंग लड़कन का क्वेश्चंस रहता है, दे हैव क्वेश्चंस, यही फोरम है, इसी जगह पर बात करके पूछना चाहिए। तो 1-2 मिनट और देता हूँ राघवा जी, तो फिर कार्यक्रम आगे बढ़ेंगे।
Yeah, please ask. So all our literature, what I've researched, is based on question and answer. How Satya Prakash is written that way. If you read Upanishads, where everything, even though the author himself is asking a question and giving an answer. So ours is the religion which has total freedom. It's based on question and answer. There is no dogma in it. You find your knowledge by asking questions. And that's how all our scriptures are. We are very lucky in that manner that our books give us so much freedom. Anything else? Anybody? Yes.
आपने अहंकार के बारे में कुछ विषय डाला था।
हाँ जी।
I just wanted to know कि अहंकार में कुछ good qualities है?
जी, बहुत very good question. Ahankar, we give the name of ego, or also we give name of self-identification. Life is duality. See, जैसे रात है तो दिन होगा, white है then there is black, yeah. Although there is grey zone in the middle. लेकिन अहंकार is very important. Ego, that's when a child from 2 years to 25 years becomes an individual like this girl. Her name, herself, whatever will she become as an individual by 25 years of age after her uni, then she goes to work. It was because of her ego. Ego has a huge contribution to giving your life according to what prevailing culture is. But the sad part of ego is when I say after 27 years of life, the body starts searching for some bigger goal. And if you, when you were younger and you were unlucky not to get this kind of knowledge, where somebody taught you about your mind and your soul, then at that age you become very desperate. The ego is desperate in terms of wanting to become more powerful. So you become into a gang or group or drugs or whatever you join. That's why ego is, but that ego then, if you don't learn how to control, like when I became a doctor, when I became a specialist, I have to tell you, overnight I had this kind of ego. I was scared of myself. What's that nice, good fellow, humility, niceness in him? Why is he wanting to talk so much over everyone? Because ahankar comes in. You think you've achieved everything, and then ahankar hides behind you and then makes really look you stupid. So I worked on it. I worked day and night on it. Meditation, asanas, breathing exercise. Actively reprogram yourself to be small. Look at a plant like a mango tree. When it gets fully laden with mangoes, what does it do? It loses itself. When you become very educated, put your head down. Learn to say namaste. Learn to be polite, because these things produce chemicals which make you healthier. There is no point showing the other part. So yes, ahankar, ego, two sides, very helpful. But at the same time, ahankar never leaves you, because it is required for us to live our life. Even at the moment when I come here to help you give some understanding of language, there is a bit of ahankar in me which is driving me to actually help you understand. That's the ahankar part. Because if I don't have any ahankar or any ego, I'll become very domicile. I'll sit down in a caveman like. That's not the point of life. Life is for living. Your body is given for pleasure in a proper manner. Dharma arth kam, moksha ki prapti. Within balance. Balance is the word. Not living your life of pleasure, of senses or anything. But balancing is the most important. Your question you wanted to ask? Yeah.
पानी जो हम पीते हैं,
जी.
जैसे पानी अब जैसे जूस बेचते हैं उसी तरह पानी को भी
बेचते हैं।
मिनरल वाटर कहते
हाँ।
हैं, डिस्टिल वाटर, क्या क्या टेप वाटर है।
Yeah.
तो इसमें आप कुछ
Any comments? The water which is running is the best form of water to drink because of the earth's connection and the minerals and that it has. The distilled water obviously is distilled off like battery water, है ना? So it has very little nutrients. So mineral water, any natural water is better, I'm just saying, than a soda. That's all I say. Na? Soda has too much of carbon dioxide in it, fused in it. It produces reflux. It kills our bacteria, the microbiome. So water, you don't need to buy water and drink. Tap water usually are fine. There is no problem. Western countries have a very good filtering system and they walk through the water. The water is running, it's good. As long as it's clean, it's not has bacteria or some kind of giardia or some other parasite, it's fine. But yeah, if you were able to get a natural spring water somewhere, it will be better.
धन्यवाद। और एक और सवाल है, एक आखिरी सवाल।
खाली एक चीज डॉक्टर जी ने कवर किया था, IQ,
Yes.
EQ and SQ. I think आपको emphasize करना चाहिए, say maybe कल और आज नहीं,
Yes.
but next time जब आएंगे
Yes,
तब.
yes.
Because we know that some people with just having a lot of IQ
Yeah.
can still be an idiot.
Oh yeah, most people are like that. Educated people are the biggest idiots. Yeah, in the world.
EQ and SQ balance करना बहुत.
Yes, sir. So EQ, and I was just trying to show you in terms of the brain cells. So IQ is just basic thing. EQ, yeah, emotional conscious, you are living by heart. IQ, you are living by ego, which is third dimension. Living by heart, emotional content is already fourth dimension. To come to fourth dimension, that's why you do Ujjayi Pranayam. It's called Ujjayi. Ujjayi means to get victory. Victory over what? Victory over your ego self. Then you live by heart. And if a God is there and talks, it only talks by love. So you learn to become loving. You live by heart. You have emotional quotient. But if you want to merge with God, you want to have abundance of health, wealth, and wisdom, then you have to go another level, which is called SQ. So anger, fear, jealousy, hatred. SQ is about 50. Gratitude, humility, humbleness, compassion, empathy, forgiveness. Gratitude has got 2000 SQ. तो धर्म यही सिखाता है कि अच्छा गुण कर्म स्वभाव आपके जीवन में आए। जितना पंडित है, जितना हमारे गुरु हैं, यही बात बताते हैं कि अपने तो आई एम जस्ट गिविंग यू अ साइंटिफिक वैलिडेशन टू व्हाई इट्स वर्थ डूइंग इट। दैट्स ऑल आई एम टेलिंग। इट्स नॉट माय नॉलेज, आई एम जस्ट पुटिंग इट इन अ लैंग्वेज सो दैट यू आर हैप्पी टू ब्रिंग इन योर लाइफ। तो धन्यवाद सुनने के लिए आप सभी को। कल मैं इसी पर और बात करूंगा, लेकिन आई विल टीच यू हाउ टू become your true self, not me brain, me leg, me joint, but I behind you. जो माया की जाल है, उससे कैसे आप अपने आप को देखिए, कौन हो आप।